Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Questioning the Weird. Have you ever noticed when you have gone to a theater or a concert that all the doors always open out and never in? Have you ever noticed that fire doors are always unlocked and never chained or blocked? Well, tonight's episode, we're going to go over the reasons why that happened. And we're going to travel to a city that's quite famous for fires, Chicago, Illinois. So sit back and relax and enjoy this episode of Questioning the Weird. The Iroquois Theater, built in 1903, being broadcast as the world's first and safest theater to be the most fireproof ever built. But unfortunately, to make sure it hit its deadline, a lot of corners were cut and a lot of bribes were taken to make sure this theater would be open on time. It was a cold December day in Chicago in 1903, where the Iroquois Theater was doing a matinee performance of Mr. Bluebeard. In that performance, over 2,000 people crowded the theater to get in, and they would be sitting within the theater, up in the balcony, and even in the aisles, just to make sure they got to see this play this afternoon. Yet during the second act of this play, sparks started coming off arc lighting above the stage and started to cause a fire. Stagehands noticed the flames coming up from above, so they dropped what is called a fire curtain to contain the fire. This fire curtain unfortunately failed and was caught up on its own rope, which didn't contain the fire and ironically caught on fire itself. With now the flames visible on stage, Eddie Foyd noticed them and tried to draw attention to himself and to the patrons of the theater to stay calm and move out of the theater in a calm and orderly fashion. But unfortunately, panic filled the room as everybody crowded to the main entrance. Foyd would go on the record saying, "It struck me during the first act that he had never seen so many men, women, and children out in the audience, mothers and children even out in the gallery just to view the performance." With the fire taking over the theater, the crowd went into full panic mode trying to escape. As many went for the entrance, others went for the fire doors, to find these doors chained up and unable to be opened, because management thought it'd be a good idea to lock these doors that led to the outside to make sure nobody snuck into today's performance. But luckily, with pure determination, some of these patrons were able to break those chains and doors off their hinges and be able to escape into the alley of the theater. The Iroquois Theater, being a beacon of just pure safety that it was, installed a device that we all know now as a fire escape. Many of the patrons rushed the doors to the fire escape. The one thing, though, that the Iroquois Theater didn't intend on was hundreds of people to be on said fire escape. So what ended up happening is that the fire escape collapsed in on itself, taking many of the people on there with it. The other thing that happened, being up on the third and second floor, is many people didn't realize the fire escape even fell. So as they rushed off to go onto the fire escape, many just plummeted down into the alley itself. With the chaos in full swing in the theater district of Chicago, many people already noticed to see that the theater was on fire. Next door was a local university, and what they decided to do to try to help the patrons escape the blaze was take ladders from window to window across that alley so that people could crawl from the building to the next. But unfortunately, many did not make it to the next building, also falling into the alley. Now, those that weren't close to a fire exit that was open, or even a fire ladder to try to escape to the next building, many just rushed to the main entrance that they came in from. The problem being is those doors weren't designed to open out with a mass public trying to leave. They opened in. So as people rushed the doors, tried to open them, they were getting pushed and smushed into the doors, this causing all these people to be trapped within the flames. But even those who escaped the theater that was on fire, their hell wasn't done quite yet. It being a quite cold day in December in Chicago and not having time to hit the coat check to grab their jackets while running out of a fire. And as they escaped the building, the fire department was already fighting the fire, soaking it with water. And they also were getting soaked with the water as they tried to get out, causing them to be freezing out there in the middle of the streets. Luckily, a local department store just down the street opened their doors and their heat to these poor people to stay in the warmth while everything was being put under control. The reason that this alley is called Death Alley, not only because of all the people that perished, what happened was when the fire department was battling the flames, water was being sprayed everywhere and not enough time to remove the bodies from the alley. So what happened was that the bodies were frozen to the actual alley itself. With that being such a grisly sight, the city of Chicago decided to set up curtains on the entrances of the alley so onlookers would not see the morbid Death Alley. From all that, 650 people lost their lives that day at the Iroquois Theater due to mismanagement and poor planning on the theater's part. But silver lining in the whole thing is sweeping fire codes went across the whole nation to try to prevent this disaster from ever happening again. The Iroquois Theater's frame itself was still intact, so there was already plans after the fire to rebuild the theater into the Oriental Theater. Now with that, there's many haunted sightings within the theater. Those working the late shifts claiming to smell smoke or see smoke, hear people out in the auditorium, and then one of an actress named Nellie who sits up above the theater ready to sweeten down for her cue for Mr. Bluebeard that she never got to perform. The alley itself is said to be quite haunted too, as people and tour groups go through there expecting to see things. Sometimes they do. Many have said to seeing people up above or even hear people behind them. Lots of photographs supposedly of shadows out in the distance of Death Alley. So thank you for watching this episode of Questioning the Weird. I guess we should be more thankful for doors that just open out and be thankful that we weren't there at the Iroquois Theater. If you like what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can stay up to date on all our videos and content. Thank you.